We're coming in hot with inspiring guests, witty banter, and colorful commentary for today's veterans and military community. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Hello? Is it me you're looking for?
Hello, is it Tango Alpha Lima you're looking for? Because you're at the right podcast. Welcome, everyone, to this week's show. And that's right, I am in the front seat driving this crazy bus today. So excited. And we've got some special guests. The Mark CV. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Fair to middling.
fair to... That's
I'm hoping you
your
didn't
response.
just. I'm hoping that the audio of this starts after I sang Lionel Richie, because that would be wildly
we keeping it in.
I was not aware that we were already in the game. So to everyone that heard me singing Lionel Richie, I apologize.
It's outstanding.
It was a treat. And the most wonderful human being I've ever known, Mr. Jeff Daly of the Michigan Dailies. How are you doing, buddy?
Outstanding. I got my whoopee. I'm here in Los Angeles. It's going to be hot as Hades today to match the traffic. So it's all LA.
Okay. I can definitely appreciate that.
I don't even know what my weather here is today. I literally don't know what the weather is right now, much less what it's supposed to be today. That's why I was picking up my phone. I'm checking the weather. Go on.
It's such a Midwest thing.
Such a Midwest thing. Also, such a treat as usual, Mark. You're just full of surprises and random thoughts and Lionel Richie quotes and songs.
Yeah. I'm all about the line. My ADHD is kicking today, so we got to stay on target. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Speaking of, well, I guess word of mouth and the things that I guess we talk about here, I think it's really important that we continue to share with our alphas that they should be sharing our podcast with someone this week. Why? Because the best way to let people know about a podcast is tell them how you experience one of our episodes, right? And with me being in the driver's seat today, I cordially invite you to share our podcast this week. Why? Because we're awesome. And Jeff Daly is back in the saddle again. And he is, man, we should just do music quotes today. Can that be our underlining theme?
We don't have
See,
the budget.
y'all put me in charge and this is what's happening. No?
We don't have the budget.
We'll blow the budget. You're right. Yeah. Jarek will be so angry trying to find music that's not copyright to pop in here. And then we'll have to hear from the lawyer, Mr. CV, about all of the shenanigans.
Well, we have a new controller here. He handles the finance and stuff, but he caught me yesterday morning at about 6:30, 7 o'clock, listening to Celtic Pink Floyd in my office, and the look on his face was definitely seemed to be perplexed. Like, what is going on? Why do I hear a woman singing Another Brick in the Wall? It was
wow.
Yeah, so I'm just going to avoid him and act all cagey like I really am that weird a dude, which I kind of am.
Yeah,
but
kind of are. Yeah.
Yeah, the poor guy. Poor
so
man. He shares an office wall with me, so sometimes he can hear me through the wall, I think.
Well, that's terrifying.
Very
in
nice
so many
guy.
ways.
Very nice guy. Artilleryman.
So we can't hear. That's great.
So he's probably
good to know.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Wow.
Good to know.
He's a very young chap, so he probably has decent hearing. I don't know.
Well, as we roll into our first topic, in the spirit of listening and speaking, right? What's that famous turn of phrase? Listen twice as much as you speak. Well, we're gonna roll right into it with this past weekend. The American Legion crowned their newest National Oratorical Competition champ. Whoop, whoop. Super exciting for all of those out there who are debaters, who can speak well in front of an audience. That's a program of the American Legion. So now you know. Very cool. So a little bit of history about the oratorical competition. Say that several times fast. If you can do that, please write into us, and we want a voice recording of you doing it. But as I stated, so the National Oratorical Contest debuts on June 1st on 1938. So it's been around for a hot minute. So John Jansen of Arizona won the first American Legion National Oratorical Contest, which took place in Norman, Oklahoma. As they do today, top finishers were awarded with scholarship money, cash money. Gotta love it. So when, what made the American Legion competition unique is that the requirement for young orators, words. See, orators. See, I would not have done well, folks, but somehow I'm still doing well here. So orators speak fluently and convincingly about the U.S. Constitution. That's a heck of a document to read, right? So when the American Commission started the national competition, they hoped for the activity that it would, eventually develop a keener interest in the appreciation of the American institutions. Over the years, many oratorical participants have gone on to do great things, including CNN co-founder, author, and broadcaster Lou Dobbs, longtime Idaho Senator Frank Church, and former Vice President Mike Pence. Believe that. Wow.
I did not know that one. That was why you saw my face a second ago. It was like Mike Pence was in the oratorical.
We should get that. We could do like a big screenshot of it.
No, and I usually know all these kind of weird things.
Oh, well, now you can add that to your Snapple fact or repertoire, reservoir, whatever the word may be. Apparently word selection is not my keen thing for the day.
That's why we're just listening, right, Jeff?
Yep.
So, all right. So in April 1967, Alan Keyes of San Antonio, Texas, the son of a Vietnam War veteran, won the National Oratorical Competition Championship. 3 months later, he was elected as president of the American Legion Boys Nation. Keyes went on to earn 2 degrees from Harvard University, serve as a U.S. diplomat, author, broadcaster, and 3-time U.S. presidential candidate. And in 1999, he received the American Legion National Commander's Public Relations Award. So Keyes was a historical accomplishment that stood until April 18, 1999, when another Texan teen, Kevin Sladek of San Marco, won the National Oratorical Contest the spring following his election as the Boys Nation's president. So we have a video of the 3 finalists delivering their orations. See, Jeff,
there's something about the way ORA that you, for some reason,
my brain isn't processed. I'm dyslexic. So for anyone who's out there, dyslexia is real. And I'm trying so hard right now for all of you because I love all my
I'm just glad you didn't say dyslexic instead of dyslexia.
Oh, you. So anywho, this video is going to be on our Legion website and YouTube channel, and super producer Holly will have the links in the show notes. So I encourage everyone to hop online and watch it. So these kids are super impressive, and like the participants who've come before through all of our youth programs, it really gives you hope about America's future. Like, let's be frank, some of the folks that we've listed off here, amazing.
Let's give a real hand to all of our judges that were there too.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Very exciting.
Our judge advocate.
I will be a judge, or will have been.
Judge is a judge title
with Miss Liz Hartman, who Jeff knows. She will also be a judge. So
very cool.
Good times had by all.
So what we've learned from this is that there are folks out there who are far more equipped to use the, human language than I. And some of them participate in our American Legion Oratorical competition, and they kick butt and take names, and we're super excited for them. And
they get scholarships.
Get those scholarships, baby. Get them while they're hot. Rolling into school, it's a great thing for a resume booster, especially for anyone in our, our local communities who have an interest in partnering with the American Legion. That's a program along with Boys Nations, Boys State, all of the above. So always an opportunity to partner with the American Legion. So we're going to roll right into, unless Jeff or Mark have something to say.
I can get sidetracked very easily because we talked about Senator Church in there. That was one of the oratorical. And if you don't know who Senator Church is, he's a fascinating man. Probably heard of the Church Committee, which investigated CIA abuses, MK Ultra, and all these like top secret conspiracy stuff. Anyway, he got his start at the American Legion Oratorical Contest.
Wow.
It's
All
quite
right.
a litany of people. But yeah, let's go. Let's do
You
it.
want to jump into
Okay.
the show? Yeah. All right. Today we will be joined by Erika Teichert. Wait. I'm sorry. I apologize. We're going to be joined by Space Force Guardian, Lieutenant Colonel Erika Teichert. That's right, folks. 120 episodes into this experience, and we finally landed a member of the Space Force with us here at the Tango Alpha Lima experience. Erika grew up in sunny California as a part of a family with a rich military history. She's a fifth generation commissioned officer and second generation American commissioned officer in the U.S. military. She joined the United States Marine Corps. Anybody? Hoorah, Semper Fi. Hoorah. All right. She joined the United States Marine Corps in XXX. We're not giving that year away. We're protecting her autonomy. And served as communications officer stationed
autonomy
in Okinawa,
I love
Japan.
it.
her anonymity is what we're protecting.
Anonymity.
Her autonomy, I think she can protect. But go on.
All right.
Words.
We're protecting
words.
something. So after that, she served in Okinawa, Japan in some year, the Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Paris Island, and Camp Pendleton. She is currently in the midst of her second tour at the Pentagon. She served her first full tour as a Marine, but she transferred to the Space Force back in January of this year, 2022. No XXXX. So she'll finish out her second Pentagon tour as a Space Force Guardian. Erika will share the story about how she launched her new career after this break.
Join us for the 2022
100 Miles for Hope Challenge.
The Third American Legion Fitness Challenge will once again raise money for disabled veterans and military families in need.
We've made improvements to the 2022 challenge.
Monthly mini challenges
Department versus department challenges.
and easier ways to track your miles.
And we've made it easier for friends and families to support you with donations to the Veterans and Children's Foundation.
Our goal for this campaign is to raise $450,000 for the foundation.
But we're gonna need your help. It doesn't matter if you walk,
Run
ride,
or swim. Just get active. Support our veterans and military families. And let's show the nation that we are veterans strengthening America.
All right, we are now joined by Erika Teichert. Erika, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
We're hanging in there as best we can anyway. So we've been kind of joking about Space Force, which even you will have to admit, kind of an easy target at times. A lot of people don't really know. Now, I do have a basic gist of what Space Force does from having worked with the Space Force guys that when they were in the Air Force in Thule, Greenland. But can you kind of give us an overview? Everyone has these images and we watched the video of like what the basic training was going to look like with people going over things. And we're like, well, if you're in space, there won't be gravity. But can you give us kind of an overview of actually what it is that Space Force is going to be doing?
Sure. So the Space Force operates, protects, and defends our nation's satellites. And the easy answer that is that pretty much everybody understands once I think about it is the global positioning system is GPS. So do you all have smartphones?
Yes.
Yeah. So anytime that you use Google Maps, you're using a capability that is provided by the United States Space Force. So that little blue dot is your position on this world, and that is provided through GPS, and GPS is run by the United States Space Force. So behind that blue dot is a group of guardians who run that constellation. And that's just one small example. That's the kind of the most common example that most people understand. The things that may be a little bit more military specific are missile warning, satellite communications. So if you go on an airplane, and this is a commercial example, this isn't necessarily a military specific example, but if you fly on an airplane and use their Wi-Fi, that's provided through a satellite communications system on board the aircraft. Commercially provided, not military provided, but the same capability that allows you to use onboard Wi-Fi on an airplane is a similar capability that the military uses on its aircraft. And because we're, I think at this point, all veterans on here, I'd like to ask maybe a question. What did you do in the service? And then I could potentially give you an example about how your service was enabled by something that the Space Force now provides, that the Air Force provided before the Space Force stood up.
Well, I'm at the pinnacle. I was an enlisted infantryman right there, tip of the spear. I know what we used.
Okay.
I mean, we had we had back in the day, it was the Blue Force Tracker was the kind
Absolutely.
That was all Space Forcey, and obviously some of our satellite imagery was a lot you guys too. So a lot of people are not going to, again, when I went to Thule, Greenland, they were handling all the north-south orbiting satellites. So
Absolutely.
I kind of got the rundown. Yep. So I get, and I will say, as much as we've kind of joked about Space Force has taken it with great aplomb, and I'm very happy with them for doing that. And, it's got to be difficult being a new service where your role's not the most defined thing of all time. And I don't think it's anything others haven't experience. When the Marine Corps came in, obviously kind of attached to the Navy, and you got the Air Force was part of the Army. I think it's going to grow, but I'm glad we have you on here to finally explain to people that it is these tech things that are utilized by all the other forces.
It is. I mean, the Space Force is absolutely essential to the joint fight, and really, as China and Russia have both grown their space capabilities recently. China specifically, Russia's had a long history in the space program, but China's rise in that domain has been, to use a little bit of a pun, right, astronomical, astronomically fast, right, and so it's not just it's not just what we provide to the joint force, but it's also the protect and defend our capabilities. The ability to do attribution in space is hard, and the things that the Space Force provides to the joint force, if you eliminate those capabilities, then it starts to hurt the joint force.
Absolutely. No debate on my end anyway. Jeff, you are up, buddy.
I have.
Nope.
Oh, I've also been to Thule. We were in Thule a couple months ago, and
wonderful place.
In November. Wonderful. It was an adventure. So it was definitely a once in a lifetime experience.
That's what I was up there in February when they had their first day when the sun finally came up, and it was without a doubt the craziest party I've ever been at. An Air Force or otherwise, I've never seen anything quite like it, and I don't know that I'll ever fully recover from that week. But Thule's fun.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, you're up, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Semper Fi, Guardian. And I want to talk about that because the cultures have to be completely different. And how was that transition from the Marine Corps to the Air Force? And if you can work it in, let everybody know that there are Space Marines, but it's completely different than what you're doing. And what does a Space Marine do? Are they knife handing aliens, or what's going on with that?
Sure. So I think to fully answer that question, I'll give you just a little bit of my background and then how I ended up here. So I commissioned as a Marine Corps officer in 2005 from the Naval Academy, and I was a communications officer, and that's IT, not public affairs. and spent my career doing enabling satellite communications, phones, data, computers for various units. I was at a communications squadron that was at one of the aircraft wings. So we provided a full communications capability to 1st Marine Aircraft Wing out of Okinawa, Japan. I also served at Combat Logistics Regiment 1, supporting 1st Marine Division in various capabilities, enabling command and control of the logistics regiment in our support to 1st Marine Division. I also was a communications officer at 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit, where we did a special 2 CENTCOM. And so, and then I was in part of that, I was selected for school at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, and I did so I have a master's degree in space systems operations, and I did 3 years of strategy, budget, policy, Marine Corps integration into the space world at the Pentagon at Headquarters Marine Corps. And so, so that's kind of, you know, my Marine Corps career. And then I helped as a Marine, I helped with the initial Space Force task force when the Space Force was still was in its you know, we think it's going to happen, so we need to prepare, and this is what this is kind of what we think that the structure of the Space Force might look like. And so I was a Marine as part of that working group, and then 2 years later, the now about 2-year-old Space Force was established, and I'm sorry. So I was working that in about 2018, and then in 2019, in December of 2019, the Space Force was established by law. And then a couple of years after that, they opened it up for inter-service transfers for Army, Navy, and Marine Corps officers and enlisted to transfer from their service to the Space Force. So because I had worked in the space community for a little bit, I had a couple people reach out to me and tell me that it was coming, and I applied, and they accepted me the summer of last year for an inter-service transfer from the Marine Corps to the Space Force. And then I transferred on January 5th, 2022 from the Marine Corps to the Space Force. And I transferred over as a space operator. And so I will be doing space things inside the Space Force from here on out. So I tell people this, people ask me a lot, the cultures are very different, and they are. And I think people have a little bit of a hard time understanding why a Marine, how a Marine would fit into what they think is the Air Force culture, because of the culture that the Marine Corps tends to exhibit from both an internal and an external perspective. It is different. The Marine Corps has a very I'll say aggressive culture and an outward exposure to people. We tend to be fairly, the knife handing thing. Ironically, people were giving me a hard time because I was knife handing somebody last night in jest. But the idea with the Space Force isn't that it's Air Force light, right? We aren't a second Air Force. The idea of the inter-service transfers is that we do bring some of our culture with us, and that we create a new culture. And one of the big things that I think that the Marine Corps and the Army really do well is that warfighting ethos. And the Space Force wants to understand and has embraced that warfighting ethos. They understand that Guardians are on call 24/7, are on shift 24/7, and need to understand who they're supporting and why, and how important their capabilities are. And so that warfighting ethos that the Marines bring is going to be important as we start to establish our new culture. And I'm going to echo my boss here for a second. People ask him a lot, you know, when are you going to get the Space Force culture? And he's like, well, it's not like you just order it off of Amazon, and you can't just order a culture. And so as we start to, as more inter-service transfers come in, there's probably about a third of Guardians in the Space Force who have never served a day in the Air Force, whether that's, you know, they're commissioned from the Air Force Academy, or they're new recruits, or they're inter-service transfers like me. And so we'll start to permeate the units and bring some of our heritage in. And I think you're going to start to see a totally different culture, the same way that the Navy and the Marine Corps are very different, even though we're both, or even though that they are both members of the Department of the Navy. So you'll see Department of the Air Force and Space Force, and they'll really start to exhibit their own cultures, and I think that's pretty cool.
That's the most diplomatic answer I've ever heard, and I agree. I think it would be a lot easier to go from the Marine Corps to Space Force than Space Force to the Marine Corps. Like, you can take a Tom Brady and have him work for Bill Belichick and then send him to Happy Land, but you can't take a guy from Happy Land and send him to Bill Belichick. Yes.
Oh, you worked in a Brady.
Yeah. Wow.
That's all I could think about was, you know, like, can you imagine? But I mean, can you imagine going from the Space Force to the Marine Corps? You'd be like, I didn't sign up for this, like, you know. But going the other way, I think we can all, let the hair grow back a little bit.
Yeah, yes, I don't disagree with your sentiment, or I don't disagree at all.
You're up, Ashley. Get your question in. So
it never ceases to amaze me when Mark Seavey can get in
hey, that's why I'm here.
a Patriot reference and/or Boston.
Eventually, I'm going to get a free ticket to a game out of this. You just wait. When we hit it big time, I'm going.
I know. So I'll kind of swing over. So as we're talking about culture and transition, I'm curious to know a little bit more, Erika, about, you know, working at the Pentagon and really like how that shift has kind of taken its place amongst the other branches at the Pentagon, and where you see Space Force going in the next few years as you continue to grow.
Yeah, so I think it's been an interesting transition on both the staff side inside the Space Force and for the other services accepting the Space Force at the seat of the table. It's a huge transition, but it's super important. And I think that you see it as the budget starts to come out. The Space Force did well on the budget because people recognize how important it is, and the leadership is very aware that every dollar spent is important. And I think that as you see the Space Force start to come into its own with its own budget, you'll see the space capabilities really start to blossom. But it has been, I will say it has been, I think, an odd transition for some folks, for the Guardians and for the soldiers, sailors, Marines, who are dealing with the Guardians. I don't want to say the Pentagon's a weird place, so I think that's part of it. So, but I really do think that the Space Force is starting to come into its own on the budget cycle and on the the operations plans side. Everyone is starting to not, what we kind of used to do before the Space Force is that, the combatant commands would develop their own O plans, and then they'd kind of just put space on top of it, right? Instead of integrating space into everything that we do as part of that O plan. And that's not the right answer, because usually that becomes it almost an oversight. So as the service has stood up, and as the combatant command has stood up, United States Space Command, which has the warfighting piece to the space domain. So Space Force is the organize, train, and equip, like all the other services, and then Space Command has a warfighting piece to that, like Indo-Pacific Command, Central Command, all that. You started to see more of an integrated effort to incorporate space into all of the plans, and so I think that's really healthy. But it has been a little bit of hey, make sure that Space Force is considered. So I think we're on the right track, but I won't say it's been easy either.
Yeah, the one thing I will say for Space Force, you probably don't have any ASFAB waivers or anything in the Space Force. Like my image of them is all super smart people, so you at least got that going for it. But yeah, I can see where a new service is trying to hash out its little area and trying in a budget year that might be a little difficult. But although I hear your budget might be pretty good, but everybody's fighting for dollars. I can see where also your purchases are not going to be inexpensive. When the Space Force thinks something up, it's not going to be a foosball table. It's going to be like littoral combat ship level funds.
It is, and we're also, because the domain has gotten a little bit more aggressive, with the rise of China. It's not a benign domain anymore, and so the idea of protecting and defending our capabilities and then transitioning to a resilient architecture are super important. They aren't cheap. We are trying very hard to get industry and the government in terms of contracting to drive down costs, and we're lucky in that the commercial industry is in the space world is really booming, and you see that with companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Orbit. Again, channeling my boss, he's lucky. The other services don't have billionaires building capabilities for them. You don't see Amazon building a tank, right, or a giant ship, but you see them building really great launch capabilities that we can use, if for both, we can use, and anytime you can bring in commercial industry is a win for the government.
Although I do have to say, I'm cheering for Amazon to start selling armored personnel carriers on there, and I do expect the delivery by one day. So
2 days with Prime.
It's one day here because I live right next to the facility.
Okay.
So it's usually just some guy throwing it. Now whether he'll actually throw a armored vehicle right onto my lawn, I don't know. But anyway, Erika, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but we really appreciate you being here with us and articulating all the reasons we need to back our Space Force. So we appreciate you very much, and thank you for all you do, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Selfless service.
The American Legion celebrates all who contribute to something larger than themselves
And inspires others to serve and strengthen America. We are veterans strengthening America. We are the American Legion.
Alrighty, so we are back after listening to our first Space Force Guardian, Lieutenant Colonel Erika. Oh my goodness, just high speed, right? Am I right?
She, you can see the Marine Corps in her. She definitely has a very Marine look to her.
That uniform was spot on, and
yeah, she was
squared away.
She clearly had attention to detail and all the other Marine Corps type things going on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I definitely enjoyed having her on, especially, considering all things, Mark. We've discussed the Space Force, Guardians for a while now, and it's only fitting that you would be on here for our our first interview.
And I'll be honest, her answer about the culture of the Space Force thing is it's given me something to think about as a sort of guy who reads a lot about anthropology and stuff. She's right. I mean, it'll be an interesting because you're creating something out of nothing. You're taking people from disparate, you know, if you've ever been involved in a joint operation where you've got people from different things or nationality, everybody's got their own little way of doing things. I think it'll be interesting. I'm kind of eager for Space Force. I think is definitely, it's going to be like, if you're smart, go into the Space Force. I mean, they seem all like Mensa members to me, but whatever.
Mensa.
You do you know.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, let's get into rapid fire. Pew, 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 pew. Oh, it's so fun to do that. Mark, you didn't participate.
I did. I even blew off my pistol. See, I did it.
All right.
Rapid. Let's go.
I'm not into big hand movements.
All right. Okay. All right. So rapid fire one, number uno. So Department of Tennessee's first female American Legion Eagle Scout of the year, according to Legiontown USA. So congratulations to Taylor Bell of Troop 2019 of Murrysboro, Tennessee. The Rockville High School student was named the American Legion Department of Tennessee's 2022 Eagle Scout of the Year. Ernest Schmidt, the Department of Tennessee's Boy Scout chairman, placed the winning phone call to Taylor for a $3,000 college scholarship. It will be presented at the department convention in Franklin this July of 2022. So super exciting. So as the Tennessee state winner, Taylor won the opportunity to compete in the National American Legion Scout War competition that comes with a whopping $10,000 college scholarship. Amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
High speed, low drag. I love it.
I'm going to go back to the Eagle Scout thing. I'm just, in terms of a stylistic choice, why did you go with the mixer as the official dance of Eagle Scouts, Jeff?
No, the money.
Oh, did you do the money? Okay.
It's a celebration for the money.
All right. Yeah. I mean, you know, there was one fun thing I thought at Boys Nation every year is they pull out all the Eagle Scouts and get their pictures taken. And there's like 12 of them. And it's like, wow. Like, I don't know. Eagle Scouts always super impressive as someone who basically dropped out of Weeble or whatever the lowest.
Same here. They took me on my first trip, snow cross country skiing in an unheated cabin, and I went home and told my mom, "Yep, that's it. That was fun."
So you joined the Marine Corps.
So I joined the Marine Corps. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
that's adorable.
Well thought out. Good job, buddy.
Great origin story, Spider-Man. Got it. Moving on. Rapid fire two. Dose. All right. Anyone watch The Simpsons?
No.
Release the Hounds.
Smithers.
Excellent. Anyway, so Release the Hounds, Army event to feature drone swarms that behave like a wolf pack. There are so many different movie puns that I could just pull from this, but yeah. I digress. Yeah. So the U.S. Army plans to experiment with drone swarms that behave more like a wolf pack at its second aviation focus exercise, leading up to a project convergence later this year. The director of the service's future vertical lift cross-functional team, that's a mouthful, we'll figure what that acronym is, told Defense News. So the Edge 22 drill will take place in the spring of Dungway, Proving Ground, Utah. Just tactical pause, understood, processing, and will feed into Project Convergence, a bigger campaign of learning schedule for the fall. So Project Convergence has grown from the Army event to the Arizona desert of Yuma, providing ground at the 2020. Okay, let's just stop. Oh my God, there's just so many names. There's so many things going on here.
You're reading the words independently. What it is so they have
words
different
today.
Proving ground is like a thing. It's like where they're testing something, and there's a Yuma proving ground, and there's also a Dugway proving ground. So it's where they test all these things. I think there's going to be a big focus on this, on drone swarms and everything else, because we're seeing the results of asymmetric warfare in Ukraine right now. Bring all the tanks you want. If every third Ukrainian has a anti-tank missile, you're just putting expensive stuff up on the selling block, basically, for scrap metal. And,
Right.
you know, I think that's what the drone plan here is, to just hit them with so much stuff they can't possibly even respond to you. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a done deal. The drone swarms are going to be a thing.
Yeah. Not too shabby. Not too
I
shabby.
agree. How rapid is that?
How
There you go.
rapid. So rapid. So rapid that we're moving on to rapid fire 3.
This,
So
this-
military.
there's a
Oh.
lot of names in this next one, so I'm looking forward to Ashley reading it.
I'm not doing super great today. Like the dyslexia is strong. The force is not strong with me today.
Yeah.
So military considers 3 states for a permanent Space Force training HQ, according to Military Times. All right.
Don't read this whole thing. Let me bubble this up before we.
All right, Mark, put
any
a
of-
bow on it. Put a bow on it.
Before any of the three of us devastate all these names, because there's a lot of syllables going on there. But either way, the Space Force is looking at Colorado, where there are 3 Space Force bases, SFBs. I had never heard that until I read this article. And then Florida and California. Where does Space Force need to go?
California, obviously.
It's a trick question. It's a rhetorical question.
I mean, I don't. You think Space Force? I don't think Florida. I gotta just like that.
I mean,
doesn't strike
Cape
me as a-
Canaveral.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Kind of going with Colorado.
I'm going with Colorado as well. At 2-1. Please notify the U.S. Congress. It'll be Colorado. Done
They
and
are
done.
closest.
Done
They
and
are
done.
closest.
Selected for
you see
you.
that bipartisanship going on? Me and
Beautiful.
Ashley on the same sheet of music.
I
Done.
know. Beautiful.
Done.
Just
Yeah.
like we started the show, babe. We're going to end the show with music. I'm so
Really?
excited.
Can we do something other than Lionel Richie this time?
Yeah, your choice. Your
Did you
choice.
see that Phil Collins has played his last concert? It's
Oh,
the end
no.
of an
What have I
era,
done?
man. Phil Collins was the man
What
when
have
I
I
was a kid.
done?
Speaking
have
of
I
Space
got?
Force, wait,
Yeah,
what?
he also doesn't
No?
he lives part of the year in Switzerland and part of the year in Santa Monica, I believe.
Why you know this?
Why
Why
do
you
you
know
know this? Are you
Why
stalking
you
Phil
know
Collins?
this? Why?
Jeff Daly, you should know why I know this. It was discussed on an episode of Psych, our favorite TV show. Come on, man.
Phil Collins was?
Yes, there was an entire episode where it discusses Phil Collins because Sean was like, "Oh, that wasn't my dad. That was Phil Collins." And he's like, "What do you mean Phil Collins lives in Switzerland? How do you know so much about Phil Collins?" Come on, man, you people.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm having a oh wait, hold on. Something.
Right.
I got something. For those who can't see the video, I'm trying to pull
my
psych
fingered
right now.
my fingered eyebrow device is working.
Oh, wait a minute. I do have a special message. Now that we've gotten through rapid fire and having the awe-inspiring Mark Seavey, who I don't know is going to sing anymore, but sorry, I have a dog. Anyway,
Hey, rapid fire was
that
pretty
special
rapid, though.
message, it was. Our special message is not forgetting to subscribe to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you consume your podcasts. So please leave us a review and give us a big old 5 stars. How many stars, Mark?
5.
5. Can I see? I need a hand gesture. I need to
5.
know you're participating, not doing your legalese over there.
No.
Anyway, 5-star rating so the world knows how much they love us, and we need to know.
I was
You can
actually
also criticize my lack of understanding of the English language. If I don't enunciate and or say words correctly, I do apologize. But if you want, you can make a recommendation, a guest recommendation specifically. So you can go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima and click on the suggest a guest list. Say that 3 times fast, record it, send it to us, drop it, and we will play it for you live.
I
Boom.
was
what you
I
do.
was not legalizing, by the way. I was thinking about a discussion that Mr. Daly and I had this week where this was going to be a very special episode of Blossom next. When we were talking about the very special episode where Jeff Daly returns to the podcast.
This
So-
isn't that one. This is later.
Oh,
Words.
Holly's not on mute. She
Holly
joined
is
us on the
not
show.
on mute.
Yep.
Yeah,
He
thanks,
is
Holly.
with us
Thanks.
live.
Yay, Holly.
Save that for the record, Jared.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I'm going to throw it over to Jeff because I know he's dying to close us out.
And with that, we are going to declare season 3, episode 101, mission complete.